Mute me for now. Yep.
Okay. I think we have 5. Shonda told me that she would be a little bit late. So I think that I would like to call to order this regular meeting of the Public Arts Commission of the City of Palm Springs for Wednesday, April 21st, 2021. And I'd like to ask Jay to call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gladstone,
Present.
Commissioner Murray,
Hello.
Commissioner
Present.
Pritchard,
Present.
Commissioner Merrigan, Vice Chair Merrigan.
I see a phone that says, I thought it said phone Tracy. Well, come back to her.
Yes. Commissioner Yanni, Commissioner Favreau, Chair indicated would be late.
Hello.
And Chair Sheffer.
Present. Okay, thank you. I would like a motion, please, to accept the agenda with one amendment. I would like to ask the indulgence of, we have many guests today and probably some public comments, to let us go directly first to the swearing in of our reappointed members so that the city clerk doesn't have to wait any longer than that.
Madam Chair, just one note on the agenda. So in our alphabetical order, we have omitted the letter D. It goes from A, B, C to E. So the committee report should be D rather than E, just so that in our records, it doesn't suspect that we missed something or omitted something.
Thank you. No, I believe we just omitted the letter.
Yeah.
Um,
Other than that, I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
Is there a second?
Hello.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Yanni, where are you when we need you?
Yeah, really.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Great, okay. Now, Anthony, are you here? Okay,
Yes.
The first order then will be the oath of office administered by the city clerk.
But is Tracy here?
Thank you for having me. I'm going to go ahead and start with Russell Pritchard. If you'll repeat after me, I, please state your name,
Russell Pritchard,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservations
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
And congratulations on your reappointment.
Thank you.
Very good. Tracy, are
And-
you able to, is your microphone working? Try unmuting.
Tracy, are you there?
She said in comments that she was having microphone problems. Tracy, can you call in?
Well, Madam Chair, she is already an appointed commissioner, so we can always do this oath at your next meeting if you'd like.
Okay, I think that we probably should, but thank you for.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll
Coming.
return next meeting for Tracy's appointment, but she is already a member, so it's completely fine that she participates.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you. And bye-bye, everyone.
Okay, now we have a lot of visitors, which is wonderful. And I'm going to go around and ask you each to just introduce yourself. We usually ask you to spell your name, but most of them are on the screen. But I think we'll do it anyway for the minutes. Okay, so Barrett.
Yes, hi, Barrett Newkirk, Palm Springs resident, considering applying for a spot on the commission.
Okay, great. John Stiles. You here? Okay, we'll come back to you. Doug Evans.
Doug Evans, resident of Cathedral City.
Okay, Kim McNulty.
Hi, Kim McNulty, resident of Palm Springs.
Okay, did I miss anyone besides Alan who would like to make a public comment? Okay.
Madam Chair, Richard Noble would also like to make a public comment.
Oh, sorry, I meant Richard.
Okay.
Okay, Alan, introduce yourself then as a guest. I apologize.
Good evening. My name is Alan Carvalho. I'm a resident of Cathedral City, but I work in Palm Springs, and I am interested also in applying for one of the vacancies for the Public Arts Commission. Thank you for asking me.
Great. And Christina?
Yes, hi, Christina Demiani, resident of Palm Springs, and I am also interested in applying for a position on the commission.
Great. And Kim, are you on the call? Okay. Did I miss anyone else? Let's also mention that Alicia Thomas is here, who's working with us, and we're fortunate to have Cindy Carnes again to keep us on track. Sid Hubbard.
Hi.
Introduce yourself.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I actually am using Sid's computer.
Oh.
This is his wife, Donnie,
Okay.
D-O-N-I, Hubbard. And I grew up in Palm Springs. It's my hometown. And I live now in Rancho Mirage, but I still have a very strong interest in Palm Springs.
Great. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, did I miss anybody? All right, now I'm going to ask Richard Noble, who, if you remember, was here and did a presentation a month or two ago, and he would like to bring us up to date with a public comment. Richard? Not doing so well.
It looks like Richard, he was in his car, but then maybe stepped out for a second.
Yeah. All right. Are there any other public comments? Oh, there you go. Richard, did you want to speak?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm at the I can't breathe art piece here on Indian Canyon, laying an American flag down.
That's nice.
But yes, I do want to speak. Congratulations, everybody. And although we haven't moved forward with our LGBT Leadership Memorial, I have submitted a park request to the city for May 27th, Harvey Milk Day. As you can see, I've got 350 small transgender flags, and I want to fill St. Francis Stevens Park for that whole Saturday and Sunday because there were 350 murder of transgender people last year in honor of them, and hang a big American flag with the big banner that we spent a lot of money on, $500 on, that's asking Congress to pass the Equality Act. So I'm only here to see if we could either have some funds or if funds could be waived. They want us to pay for the city at St. Francis Stevens Park for 2 days, plus insurance on top of that. I've asked the city if they could help us hang the banner, and I'm waiting to hear back from them on that. And any volunteers. It's going to take a lot of work to plant 350 flags. Plus we have to there's no staple in them, so we have to put a staple in 'em and then glue the little pointer on top. Each little pointer has to be glued. So that's where I'm at now. Any help? In 3 days, I raised $750 to buy all the flags. And the Imperial Court of San Diego is going to come out, and they're going to have a African-American speaker, transgender, to address the current crisis, the human rights crisis facing the transgender community, and why there's such a pushback in the Senate focused on transgender equality to pass the Equality Act. And we think, we think it's time that all people are protected under the full force of the federal government, and that includes our transgender brothers and sisters.
Great, thank you. So if anyone is interested in volunteering to put up and take down these flags, I know we had talked about it as a possible art project where the flags would be made by artists, and it's morphed into this. So it's really not a project that we can give money to, but I think we can give lots of moral support and volunteers, because I know there were people that were interested before. All right.
I just had a question. It's also, have you talked to the Human Rights Commission? Because that's another commission within the cities.
Yeah, I wrote Ron DeHart, who's the chair of that commission, and he said he can't help, that he's out on sick leave.
And you've asked the city to waive the fees if they can.
I haven't yet. I
Oh.
have not yet.
Okay.
And I don't know if they can, or if Jeff Kors or Lisa Middleton or anybody could help with waiving fees, but we're happy to raise the money to pay for it all. I mean, that's really not a big deal. But planting, within an hour, 350 flags into the grass up there is going to be an undertaking.
That's another good reason to ask the Human Rights Commission, though, too. Just a whole bunch of commissioners that might help. All right. Well, we'll certainly
I have a
pass
question.
the word around. Yeah.
I have a question, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Is this considered a rally or a peaceful protest? And then my last question, had you considered doing this at City Hall?
Yeah, they did.
Okay. All right.
Well, you can answer that better, but several months ago, we discussed an art project in front of City Hall, and there were a lot of roadblocks to it.
Okay. So it's an art project, not a protest or a rally. It's an art project.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
So, by the way, I don't think that the Francis Stevens of the park is the saint. I think it's someone who lived in Palm Springs. So it's not St. Francis Park. Okay. Anything else on this topic? Thank you. Everybody else, any other public comments? Okay, then we fortunately have a pretty light agenda, but I will tell you that the deadline for applications is May 10th. I have talked with Anthony, the city clerk, and he's agreed that I can sit in on the interviews, which I've done for the last couple of years. And it sounds like we're going to have a lot of applicants. I also had a chance to meet with Justin Milton, the new city manager, and Cindy came along, and Jay, to help we tried to bring him up to date on what we've been doing, including our recent request to have some alterations made to the mural ordinance and also to the public art ordinance, because it still says things like we're not allowed to work with schools, or we're not allowed to have exhibits, and language from 1988. And it doesn't accommodate what we've been doing with mini grants. So we're going to try to get some new language, and then it will have to go to the city council because it's an amendment to an ordinance, and they'll probably have to have a public hearing. But we went over the mural one last month, and we also, the report I handed out to all of you the other day that sort of was a summary of what we've been doing with the mini grants and what the language could be is what we'll give to the new city manager. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay, So the first item for discussion and approval has to do with, that's interesting.
Jay, can you fix that?
Yeah, it's somebody's bank statement.
He's sharing his screen. So John Stiles, if you're on, you're sharing your screen. I'm sure it's by accident. There we go.
Okay. Now, if this is about the installation on the Tockwitz median called The Art of Taming Horses, which I hope you've all seen by now. The original request that we made to the City Council was to pay for the installation in return for having the loan of that the piece would remain for a couple of years. The City Council was quite firm that they didn't want us to pay for an installation by Desert X, but that they would be happy to negotiate with the artist after it was done for terms under which he would leave it here for a couple of years. It's a great piece, and we've just begun to sort of have conversations around it. So Mara Gladstone, I think, has been in touch with the artist and can tell us under what terms he would allow us to keep it.
Yes, hi, thank you. You know, I do have some images, which I'd be happy to share if anyone would like to see the current images taken on a overcast day in Palm Springs. So it's very cloudy actually, but would anyone like me to share those images?
Can Mara share it? Yes, there you go. Oh, very nice. It is cloudy, wow.
Yeah, super cloudy. So just so you can kind of see, I believe we're working on, Desert X is working on, securing the flags so they don't flap around as much. But I'll just quickly scroll through them.
Has anyone seen them at night to know if the lights are working? Because we put them in those places because there are lights.
I believe Desert X has been adjusting the lighting.
Okay.
So they should be good now. So yes, it seems like it makes that the artist is willing to do a loan. He does need to confirm these things with whatever the agreement is with his representatives, with his gallery. But yes, having a direct loan with the city and the artist makes the most sense. I think with that, the Public Arts Commission can use its arrangements to sort of periodically check on and maintain the work. And, if there are any issues, there's that ability to take care of the work after the Desert X exhibition concludes, since most of the staff at Desert X do also disperse. In addition, the artist has made, I believe, 6 copies of the flags, which would be available to reinstall in case there's damage over time. So there's been some preparations anticipating that there may be a need for duplicate flags. So those are also available for the duration of the loan. I would recommend that we make a recommendation to move forward with a loan, just with the awareness that the artist does need to review it and sign it. This is not a ready to go. We don't have he wants to do it and he wants to do a loan with the city, but he does need to review whatever those things are. So for the commission to make the recommendation so that process can move forward at the conclusion of the Desert X exhibition makes a lot of sense. I think we've had some, I think as a commissioner and as, as a citizen in the city, I think there's been a lot of positive feedback to this sort of counter monument or new monument to alternative and forgotten histories in the city of Palm Springs. I think the current events over the last few weeks have drawn attention to how important that is. And we also see the Human Rights Commission, has also been making recommendations for the city to really think about the histories and the way these histories are represented in our visual culture of the city, and also the kinds of declarations that are made. So I think this is a really, it's actually kind of a subtle work. It's a more subtle work than I think some of the other public art pieces that we're used to seeing. But I like that quietness about it. And personally, I've been enjoying seeing it on my drive east and west on Tockwitz. So that's the update I have.
Great. I think
I have
that,
a question.
yeah. Go ahead.
I just want to be, so technically the pieces are now installed for Desert X, and we're discussing a loan that would sort of begin after the end of Desert X for a certain period of time. So that's what
right.
That's what's under discussion.
And if we are not able to come up with an agreement with the artist on May, 14th or something, the pieces would have to be taken out. And one way of assuring that they can say is for the Arts Commission to offer to pay to have them taken out at the end of whatever this loan is. Because it's not as much as it would have been to install them, but I think there's still a lot of work there, there.
Oh, and if I can recommend, yes, instead of, I see in the agenda, there's, something about a payment. I would recommend, we don't make a recommendation to make any kind of payment, but rather to cover the de-installation costs for the loan, which is kind of standard practice for these kinds of projects. Like usually someone can install it and covers those costs, and then whoever it's, once it's concluded, you can remove. So there is an estimate available from a local contractor who installed the work. I believe it's well under $10,000, but the commission can check with that estimate through the artist. And so, you have those people available to deinstall the work as well. So that would be my recommendation in adjusting our recommendation,
right,
that, those funds be allocated towards the deinstallation of the artwork at the conclusion of the loan.
And I think we can reframe this, but I noticed that Marcus is on, and I wondered if you had any comment about the current installation. I know they modified it quite a bit, hoping that would keep the banners from flapping around, and I don't know that we've quite achieved that, but so.
No, I think the banners are fine. The original banners were much taller, and so they would have flapped further, but
right.
The exhibit's great.
So you would be amenable to extending the temporary use permit.
Yeah, I don't
some amount of time.
with it other than we have to navigate that political issue of Desert X versus this being a loan from the artist. And
right, which it is. I mean, it actually belongs to him now.
Yeah.
So
I don't know
and
if
his
there's
gallery.
been any agreement on what the loan terms are.
No, that's what we would. I understand, though, that if I understand correctly, help me, Mara, that the current loan agreement is with the artist, which the city council was.
That's correct. That's not correct. And I would recommend, just for clarity here, that what we're discussing is that the loan a new loan. There's no extension of a loan. That this is like a totally new thing that is a contract between the city and the artist, and his representative, who will be the gallery. So I think we should just leave the current loan agreement. Just that's not what we're discussing here. We're just discussing once that's figured
The
out,
future loan, right?
the
Right.
future loan, that's what we're recommending here.
And then we would just have to, Marcus, you would have to tell us if we extend the temporary permit or do another one or whatever.
Yeah, we're still
But it would
trying
be for a
to-
time certain. It wouldn't
To be
just
honest
be.
with you, we're still trying to resolve the right of entry agreement, which is what it is with the artist. It still hasn't been signed.
Oh, okay.
We need to
All right,
resolve
well,
that since
but I
the
think that
exhibit thing.
I think that we can approve a resolution from the Public Arts Commission that we would like the city to negotiate with the artist a way to keep that installation for some period of time, that we are prepared to pay for the deinstallation from the Arts Commission budget if that's the missing piece. And then I think we should get out of the way because it's the city attorney and the planning department and everyone else that will have to work out the terms. So the resolution is to recommend that we do it and to be prepared to pay for the deinstallation. Does anyone have any?
The installation and artist fee?
What Mara is saying is that rather than an artist fee, agreeing to take care of the cost of installation would be an adequate compensation for him. But he would still need to have a loan agreement with the city covering all the liability and whatever. But again, I think it has to go to the city attorney for how we do it.
I just had a sort of a separate comment. I did see the piece, and what I like it a lot. It is subtle, as Mara said, and probably a little, but different from maybe what we thought of when we thought of those. But what I'm really happy about is that there's finally something on those pads, and having something there will now inspire maybe some other ideas from other artists for future work, because we've had such a long-term goal of getting something on those medians. And now that there's something there, it almost like it stimulates other artists to sort of start conceptualizing ideas. So I'm really happy to have something there to inspire others, so that we could maybe start this process that we've discussed so often of having an RFP and having a proper program to install pieces there for a longer term, or maybe it becomes another type of thing, another loan type agreement. But I'm really happy to see stuff there.
We've been talking about it for quite a while.
Forever. Right.
It's also, it's sort of fun to have something that's sequential, as you drive in from the airport.
Yeah.
You keep seeing another one and another one.
Yeah, if I may, I just want to quickly say that I wholeheartedly support this, and reflecting on both what Mara and Tom have said, this gives us the opportunity to recognize an important part of Palm Springs history and the Coachella Valley history in a very quiet manner, and it gives us the sense of art continuing from City Hall into the main area of the city. It's just very important for us to work out the logistics and keep it.
And also just seeing like now we have ideas about what scale works, what height works, what
right, it won't
the banners
disturb the traffic.
Right. So now it just becomes a much more less abstract concept for an artist to imagine a piece going there in the future.
Super. So Commissioner Yanni, would you like to make a motion?
So what is our motion to discuss?
to recommend it to the city.
I would like to do that. I'd like to make a motion that the city proceed with an agreement with the artist Christopher Myers to lend his piece to the city for a certain period to be determined by the city.
I will second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and then as a second motion, I suggest that we also agree and we approve a payment of up to $10,000 should it be needed to deinstall the piece, so that when the city's making up this contract, they don't have to come back to us to say who's going to pay for the cost of taking it out.
But Madam
Yeah.
Chair, do you want a second motion for that?
Yes.
All right, then I will make a motion that as we continue the discussion to keep the Christopher Meyer installation for a to be determined period of time, that we as the Arts Commission would cover the deinstallation costs not to exceed 10,000.
I think that's fine. And if it, 2 years from now turns out to be more, then the new commission will have to deal with that. But that sounds like it would cover it. All right. And do I have a second for that motion?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Okay. Now, when I wrote this agenda a week ago, there was less going on that we needed to talk about. And I would like to suggest that we skip this discussion of the recommendations we made about the murals, et cetera, until the city manager has had a chance to read it and has offered to help us. And also Councilmember Coors offered to help put it in a form that could go to council. So I think we can table that for now. And the discussion on developing a policy regarding the removal of public art by the owner or by the city, I think can also wait. And again, there's going to be practically a new commission. And I think sometime in like early July, after the appointments are made, that it might be worth having a study session, bring everybody up to speed and talk about things like this. I mean, we're still wondering what to do about the snake lady, and what to do when murals fade or fall off the wall, or, there's, yep.
Madam Chair, if I may, I would like to encourage Commissioner Gladstone and Commissioner Yanni to do some groundwork on this policy issue, because Mara has such a great knowledge and expertise in curative implementation, and Tom has worked very closely with the art collection in comprising a list of our artwork and what it needs for repair and what to do with it, that they, as such experienced commission members, and to capture their value before they're gone, I think is extremely important on such an important issue. So I appeal to both of them to consider making a subcommittee where they would start drafting some language for this that we could take a look at. Because when the new commission comes in, and when you're new, you're just, nothing.
It's also, it should probably include the word maintenance or restoration.
Mm-hmm.
And I did mention this to the city manager, and he was very happy to hear that we have a program of trying to maintain and repair things, though, there's 80 pieces of art and we still don't know where some of them are, which brings me to the fact that Alicia is here and from what I understand is still not quite has a signed contract, but maybe Cindy, you could tell us if there's anything the commission needs to do to make things clearer or whatever.
So the commission voted already to approve the agreement. I think what we need to do, there were a few questions and not really concerns, but I think some confusion about the scope of the work that Alicia is going to be doing. So what I would suggest maybe is just setting up maybe a meeting next week and just kind of talk through them, make sure that our understanding is the same. And
that would be great. And it did fall right in between David leaving and Justin coming in. So I realized that.
So it's in the middle of our kind of transition time, but I think maybe a meeting would be really helpful if you're open to that.
Absolutely. And it's just, it's really important. It's embarrassing to have these works of art all over town. And, we haven't had an updated list since about 2016. So,
All right, well, let me get some availability and I can reach out.
okay, super. That would be
Thank you.
great.
Thank you, Bob. And just if I
You want to
can
mention, yeah.
respond to Russell's comment. Yes, we, actually, Tom and I spent a lot of time actually earlier in the year talking about a lot of the sites. So we'll just type up like a memo with some of our thinking behind some of our recommendations, and hopefully that will be helpful.
Would you mention, please, the Desert Highlands mural and what you've been looking into?
Oh, okay. If now's a good time to do that.
Yeah.
So, Shonda and I have been looking into restoring the Richard Wyatt mural. I think I brought this up in an earlier meeting, but I'll just update us all again. I think there has been, when I first joined this commission 6 years ago, the funding in the commission was just much more limited, and I think we had like $100,000 in the bank, and it was just it didn't feel possible to restore the Richard Wyatt mural. I think the last several years of events, the increasing like growth and interest in the city of Palm Springs as a cultural center, and all of the current events about equity and inclusivity and how we're thinking about public art in the city have drawn attention to this treasure in this community. A grand mural by a relatively important artist in the Black community in Southern California who has made equally great and important murals throughout Los Angeles and the Southern California area, including at Union Station in LA. It's like the big mural that meets you. We have this in our community and it is falling apart. And yet it's, widely photographed, especially with the attention that Desert X is bringing to that site. I mean, I think like hundreds of thousands of people who are not from Palm Springs are visiting and seeing that mural and taking photos in front of it. And I think it draws attention to the fact we should restore this mural. If this was in the center of Palm Springs and featured other people who are not, Black and brown, children in the community, it might have already been restored. And I think it's really important for us to do that. And so we've been in contact with Richard Wyatt. He is available to do it, not immediately, but in the next year and a half. It's a long process. He would hand paint tiles. But what we'd like to bring to as a proposal for our next commission meeting is an agreement to get an engineer in to see whether the wall can support the weight of a mural that scale, and if not, what stress load it could take to see how big a mural we can make, to just see if a tile artwork replacement is possible for that wall. We're getting information about pricing for that as well, and the actual cost for that, but it's around $200,000. But I do think that this is an important enough project, particularly when we're seeing $1 million Maryland sculptures going up, that this is a small amount of money for an artwork that is really important to so many people in our community. So yeah, we're excited that the community is interested in this, and they've been apprised of our interest in doing this. Before I leave the commission, I'd like to see us move forward with some steps and have a plan that hopefully the full commission coming on board in the summer can be able to continue to take on. But we have a strong relationship with the community where this mural resides, and I really would like to see us move forward with restoring that real treasure in Palm Springs that has been, left in the sun. So
can I add on to that also? So Mara and I I think together went to meetings at, this goes on many years ago when we
Yeah.
first were on the commission. So we've been dealing with this for a very long time. And I think maybe Mara's right, that there's something that suddenly stars somehow realigned and like now's the moment, which is great. I just also wanted, again, since we are leaving the commission, and Shonda, this might be something that you can speak to, but it was my understanding that when that mural was made, Wyatt worked with a lot of young people who lived in the neighborhood as like sort of interns on the project, on the completion of the project. And I don't recall who told me that, but that a lot of those kids are now adults who may still be in the neighborhood. So there's kind of like almost like an oral history element to it, that I would like to somehow see brought into the restoration or something, that there's sort of like ancillary work to be done in terms of the memory of the sculpture,
And
of
it
the mural.
could be an oral history, which Shonda would be brilliant at. I wanted to ask Jay, I believe there's a photograph of the mural in your conference room.
Yes.
Yes. Could you take that off the wall and give it to one of the commissioners so we could photograph it, and then we'd be able to show it to people? It was photographed early on when the colors were vibrant, and it would give people an idea of what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yes. And any other information you have about it. The discussions 4 or 5 years ago were with the artist about repainting it. So doing it on tile is a whole new question, and it does have to do with whether the structure will hold the weight of tiles and stuff. But I think we need, we need to show people what it should look like. And that will be, I think, a more incentive to get behind this. So if one of you just wants to pick it up one day, and we'll.
Can I just want, again, it just, that what you just said just triggered something from one of the meetings that Mara and I went to many years ago, which is, in addition to having Arts Commission funding, our sense from the neighborhood when we went to the Neighborhood Commission was that they were interested in raising money for it as well. So there might be another stream or something there among sort of a public funding for this that was also, that people seemed very committed to. So that's another possibility in terms of, maybe how this is funded, if the dollar amount seems high or something, or maybe funding for other things, maybe a book about it or something.
Right.
There was just so much enthusiasm for the piece, and that's something that another well that can be tapped into for bringing this project to completion.
And if I can also, I don't know if this is the right time to talk about this, but because of the wishing well by Serge Atukwe Cloti is on view as part of Desert X, there is an increasing foot traffic. And, I wonder if, it seems like the potential for a longer term loan, again, with the artist is potentially a possibility. So there is this additional foot traffic. We may want to consider putting some kind of a sign with a QR code with information about the project, with information about, intent to restore it. Like once we have a sense that it's possible.
Great idea.
Because people want to know more about the project anyway. Shonda's been like QR codes.
But they're working. We're getting the one with Amanda Gorman is getting lots of traffic. So, and Russell is now a pro at getting signs printed, right?
Awesome. Now we need the content. And so I would like to, I was going to work with Shonda to kind of gather up to again, in my last few months on the commission, write up a kind of more art historical report on why Richard Wyatt is an important artist, and then also the history of the community's involvement in the project, so that again, we have this documentation that the next commission can use to move the whole project forward and get public support. Because as much as it'd be great to tap into the community, I also think it's important for this city in terms of thinking about equity and where we place resources for public arts. Downtown's been getting a lot of it. Like, you know, let's see if, I think we can find $200,000 in the Public Arts Commission's allocated funds to restore this. It's important enough to do that without having to do a separate fundraiser. But, you know, that said, we do have a lot of visitors to that site who want to know more.
So we should try to get some kind of sign up, at least the QR code, because a website is easily updated. You know, it doesn't have to be, it can, the message can change as things develop. So, but a little something about, you know, I don't even know that there's anything with the name of the artist, and there must be, I mean, there must be a plaque or something, but, you know, this is, as Tom said, for as long as we've all been on the commission, which is, you know, 6 years mostly, we've been talking about this, and it just seemed overwhelming until really people from the neighborhood started asking, and it turns out we got stuck because the artist felt that touching it up would be an enormous job, and he probably couldn't use kids at that point, and it was hundreds of thousands of dollars. This, at least, if we get it in tile, that it will be, you know, it will last. So it's, I think it's worth the investment. Okay, anything else on that? And as I say, I should have said that it's not just removal of public art, but there is an issue coming several places where people who applied for and did a mural with, you know, with a public hearing and the consent of the city council now want to paint over it. And the mural ordinance is not very clear about what you can do or how long it has to stay up. And we're kind of going the other way, which is most murals are street art and probably shouldn't last more than a couple of years. But anyway, that's a big next question to do. Okay. Everything on that? Okay. The last item of approval is, this is another small invoice that fell between David Reddy and Justin Milton. It doesn't quite fit the pattern of our other mini grants that have most of the payments have gone to artists or neighborhoods or, you know, the benches or whatever. But Sarah has completely updated the felt eye view that she did 3 years ago when we had the opening of our 30th year celebration, and it had like 20 pieces of art on it. Now it has 40 pieces of art, and the airport would like to hang it in the ticketing area as a welcome to Palm Springs, you know, here's all this wonderful art. And so because we never did, you know, we sort of, it's been a process since she made it the first time. The city has asked us to please recommend paying this invoice in the amount of $3,500, which includes the plexiglass case that will protect it when it goes on the wall. So I would like someone to make a motion, please, to pay Sarah for this thing that's been going on for 9 months or whatever.
I'm happy to make a motion to recommend that we pay Sarah Scheiderman $3,500, or the amount in her invoice,
right,
for her public art felt project that is currently installed at the Palm Springs International Airport.
Or it will be as soon as we pay it. As soon as we pay for it. No, it's the plexiglass. Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Good. Any other comments? Otherwise, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any opposed? Great. Thank you. And by the way, this will make sense to you, but the reason it's been very slow getting the plexiglass is because there's a nationwide shortage, because every restaurant and every manicurist and everybody else is having to encase themselves in plexiglass. So when we went to get a plexiglass case for a piece of art, that was like, you know, not as important. Okay, so now we have 2 committee reports just to see where we're going. Everything's kind of chugging along at a quick speed, but Sean, do you want to tell us how we're doing on the traffic boxes?
Yes, before I tell you what's I'm doing on the traffic boxes, I just wanted to piggyback on what Thomas was saying, because I have done research in the community, and people in the community have a real passion and a love for that mural, where the original brochures and booklets have been saved and archived in the community. And a lot of the kids that were children painting it, now they have children. So it would be really beautiful to encapsulate that oral history. As for the Stop in the Name of Love traffic box project, it is finally off the ground.
Yay. And lots of good comments. I mean, on Facebook and everything, they're just, people love them.
Yay! So our first traffic box was installed last week by Cat Gaddis, and it's on the corner of Amato and Indian Canyon. The second traffic box is being installed and finishing up today. That's by Emmeline Tate, and that's at Sunrise in East Palm Canyon. Additional boxes will be arriving in this upcoming week. They'll be coming out 2 by 2, 3 by 3. And on social media, each box will be highlighted with a soundtrack inspired by the commissioners and artists illuminating the Palm Springs local residents on vacation vibe. So as you're sitting there at the traffic light and you glance over at one of the boxes, there is a soundtrack to accommodate the time as you sit there and gaze into the beautiful art that is now at your fingertips in Palm Springs.
But only while you're at the red light, right?
While you're at the red light. I mean, the time will go so quickly, and you'll be so grateful for that moment of respite and that time of meditation, absorbing the art. In the next coming weeks, Joanna Adams is one of the artists that'll be installing, Zach Fleming, Cheyenne Chavez, let's see, Kevin Smith and Rachel Jacobs are on the list to do various boxes in different locations around the city. So I'm hoping that the next round of call for artists will be towards the end of the month, so we can get the next set of boxes and also open it up for more people that are excited that maybe didn't get a chance to apply the first time. Now they have another chance. And now that they see that the ambiance we're creating in the city, they want to be involved. So I'm really excited about this project. And also the Desert X has brought a lot of people to the JOJ. So they have been seeing the mural. They have been seeing a lot of the artwork that's been installed around in the last year there. And there is a bit of a talk and a buzz about keeping the artwork that's there possibly. So those are things that the neighborhood is buzzing about that I want you guys to be abreast of, and hopefully that we can accommodate the neighborhood's wishes.
Thank you. That's cool.
For me?
Any other comments? I hope some of you have seen them as you drive around. Okay, now Russell is working on 2 or 3 mini grants that for various reasons have need temporary use permits, need help from the city installing them. So they're taking a little bit longer, but they are they're moving along. So you want to just mention, I think there's 3.
Yeah, I'll just give a quick update. There's 2 of them actively right now working with the Little Tuscany neighborhood for an installation by E. Tyler Burton, which I'm thrilled about. And Mara is familiar with Tyler's work. This, I believe, is going to council for approval on May 13th meeting. But it's going to be installed on the Crescendo city-owned property, West Racket Club in Leonard. 16-inch diameter. Oh, there's the, thanks, Jay. I forgot to cue you for the photo. This was a mock-up of the photo. It's 16 inches in diameter and 8 feet tall. And her work is a combination of clay, ceramic, and tile. So very stunning. Fits in with the color landscape of nature. So it's a brilliant piece. Again, would be temporary through the end of 2021 with the possibility of extension.
And it's very close to the street. You don't have to go on a hike to see it.
Yeah, it's only going to be about 50 to 75 feet within the corner of Leonard and West Racket Club. And we will hope to convince the city to bring one of the city-owned benches up there for a little viewing spot.
And also a little sign that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes.
I don't know if there's a trailhead sign right now or.
Yeah, and what we will most likely do with this is Tyler has done on other pieces, add a QR code with her speaking about how she makes the piece and its interpretation and its setting. And then the second one, Jay, if you can pull up the slide for the Michael Bernberg piece, excuse me, working with the Arenas merchants, where about a year ago we did the totem on the east end of Arenas and in Celia. So now Michael Bernberg has this piece available, and we're working on negotiations to put this on the west side of Arenas at Indian Canyon, where there's a perfect little pad on the city sidewalk. This piece is 5 feet tall and 5 feet wide. And that hopefully will get slated for approval mid-May and installation by the end of May. Again, temporary through the end of the year with possibility of extension.
And then I think we probably haven't had a meeting since the popsicles went in. So you might just remind everybody how they got there.
Yeah, the popsicles are at 605 Sunny Dunes, a vacant lot across the street from Townie Bakery. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but I am surprised about the enthusiasm that the public has met with this installation, because it's just so playful and amusing that it's drawing lots of people for selfies. I've seen people posting online, they're hugging them, they're trying to lick them, they're doing whatever they want to do for them. But it's been quite fun. And we're still, there's a couple of details, because we did land use permit for that, and we're doing land use permit for Tyler Burton's installation. And we had to do a building permit as well. So there's a couple of technical things that just need to submit through city planning, but it's pretty, I mean, it's installed. So it's just wrapping up a couple of details, but it's been a great hit. Got great publicity on whatever station it was, CBS, I guess, and Desert Sun. So very good press.
Yeah, that's great. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. So now we get to the section for commissioner comments or requests. We've had some good ideas talked about in the last couple of minutes about things that we'd like to see happen next. But does anyone else have any comments about where we've been? What I tried to put in that report that I gave you all a copy of is 3 years ago, we said, you know what, let's put this sign that says Imagine Art here and ask for solicitations for some submissions from artists of what they would do in the city. And, you know, it really worked magic. I mean, there's things in the pit, the car sculpture is now up. And I think that the next thing we have to do is have some sort of a public contest for where the sign should go next, you know, which park or which section of the city that hasn't had as much done. But it seems to work pretty well. But 3 years ago, we thought, well, you know, we really, the city owns 80 artworks and they mostly sit there. So what we all wanted to do was have things that were more participatory, that were just not necessarily as long lasting. And I think we've done very well. So if there's anyone who would like to throw something in for what we do next, Tom.
I just have a commissioner comment. I'm sorry if I have background noise, but I just want to commend Commissioner Favo. I remember 2 meetings ago that she was a little disappointed with the progress, and I commend you for sticking with it. I think a lot of us, we knew that you could do it. And that piece, the first one, is on one of my walks in the morning. So I've watched it from day one, and I've seen the artist. One of the things that I like best about the benches and the boxes is that it gives the public a chance to interact with the artist. I mean, every time I've walked by and the artist was, she was talking to someone had stopped by to ask questions about it and stuff. So it's like almost like this way of communicating more. It's like a person to person, discussion of the Arts Commission and the work that we do. So I particularly wanted to comment on that. I also wanted to comment, picking up on what Anne said about that, that all of these things have come together in a really beautiful way, but also, so much of it is driven, like the artists applying to do work and to put their portfolios out there. That's all done through the website, which has been done so well by Madalena. So it's like, so there's a lot of background stuff there that Madalena's been doing and others to really make the commission more public. And so I feel like that one of the things that we've accomplished is making the Arts Commission a much more public arts commission. And I want to recognize Shonda's work and Russell's work and Al's work and Mara's work and Anne's work and Tracy's work for doing all of that. Because I think, we talk about a piece here and a piece there, but there's also this kind of infrastructure that people like Sarah and Madalena are also constantly working on that kind of makes all that possible. So I just wanted, my comment is to thank all of them for doing that and for really creating a lasting impression that reflects really well upon the city and what we've been trying to do. So thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Madam Chair, go ahead, Mara, go ahead. I'd like for us to continue to strengthen our relationship with the Palm Springs Art Museum. Because of COVID, we were not able to do too much with them as we have in the past. But even with the new commission, for example, we would give them $50,000 a year for programming or whatever that was used for. My hope is that the commission would continue to do that as we strengthen that relationship.
Before they had to close,
yes,
we co-sponsored a lot of things on Thursday nights, and
yes,
it was fun. It got in new people, or when people came for the free admission, there was also something else going on. So I think hopefully we can go back to that. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And they are open, and I understand, so far so good.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of changes there, though, as you know, the director is leaving.
I did see something. I think they're opening on Thursday nights again. Is that correct?
From 3 to 5.
3 to 5.
They hope to extend it back to 5 to 8 when they have more staff, and volunteers apparently are in short supply at the moment because there's a lot of people who haven't been vaccinated and they're a little tentative about doing that. But, hopefully by summer, a lot of these restrictions will be lifted if we keep going in the right direction. So Mara, but you have to unmute yourself.
Sure. Yeah, you just had, you had mentioned where's a place where we could do more projects. I would like to recommend Palm Springs' biggest park, Demuth Park, which also is the home to a very large Filipino community that we have also not really been paying attention to. So I would just like to propose Demuth Park. Has some great walls on the community center, has a lot of space, largest acreage in the city. And again, really serves the community. It's, it's a big, important park, and could, it's already very beautiful, but I think there is space and opportunity for more, like with the benches,
right,
and
the tables.
And there might even be room for some sculptures. So
Right, exactly. And
saw
also,
something-
yeah.
I saw something recently. I mean, I think there's a section of CV Link that goes right behind Demuth Park as well. So I mean, that's another opportunity. You know, maybe it's an opportunity to, you know, create a synergy or something like that.
Well,
But
isn't
I
there
just found out about that recently.
a Filipino art association of some sort of artists?
Yeah. I've been talking to Bayanihan Desert, of which I'm also a member, about how to activate spaces in that neighborhood, especially because it borders like a more industrial area. But you know, there's also Chef Tanya's Kitchen, and there's like, you know, other small businesses there. You know, my plumbing guy's there. You know, there's a funeral home. There's like a really good Asian market. I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunity to beautify and do work, you know, either in some of the commercial sites, but also in the park around there. It's a heavily trafficked area. You know, it's kind of like a through, you know, the Mesquite is a little busy, maybe a little too busy sometimes. But I think there's just a lot of opportunity in that part of Palm Springs. And you know, in the redistricting with the city, you'll recall that the district that Grace Garner now represents takes the north part of Palm Springs, runs along the eastern side, and folds into Demuth Park area as well. So those communities are connected, and the reason why the districting was drawn that way was to bring in and represent communities that have not been represented in our city council and decision making. So I'd encourage the next commission to, you know, really think about what that means, that we took, you know, and pay attention to those communities that have been benefited from that redistricting.
I'm sorry to keep adding. In connection to that, when I met with the Demuth Park neighborhood in connection with the I'm totally blanking on the sign pieces that we installed around the city by the Native American artist.
Gerald Clark.
Gerald Clark. When we were talking about the Gerald Clark pieces and the Demuth Park neighborhood, also they have I believe a piece of land that is owned by the city somewhere. It's like a little triangle that they had mentioned specifically about doing a public art, you know, involving the Public Arts Commission on. So there was some question at the time of, like, you know, what the land was or whatever, but there's that they're definitely, the neighborhood is very interested in it as well. So it was
Well, and you know, the neighborhood grants, we had this whole plan of going through one PS and talking to neighborhoods and finding out who wanted to do what. And that's one of the things that really got upended by COVID. But it's really something worth restarting, is finding out what people would like to see in their neighborhood and then seeing how we can match them up with artists or what to do. And we do need to spread out of downtown. However, again, during COVID, not only was it easier to work downtown, but they really needed the sort of livening up and attracting people back downtown. But now I think, you know, we go back, and the one on Sunny Dunes has turned out to be so popular. You know, it just shows you when you go across from Townie Bagel that, you know, anybody will come. All right, anything, we should let everybody go pretty soon. Anything else?
Across the street from Demuth Park, I photographed the installation of the cats that are at the veterinarian services there. So there are a few pieces, but I agree with you, Mara. The more the better, especially from that Filipino community, with all due respect.
Well, I think all of the commissioners who are leaving the commission after June 30th, you know how on New Year's Eve you write your sort of predictions or wishes for the next year? I think everyone should leave a few wishes for the new commission of things we wish we'd gotten to, and we just didn't. So, All right, if
Yeah,
there's,
I have a couple of things that I wanted to bring up for the future. I also wanted to call it to attention. There is a candlelight light peaceful vigil at the George Floyd mural tonight at 6:30. So it's really beautiful that our community is using our art in order to enable healing, especially after such a huge tumultuous couple of years that we've had. I also wanted to call the attention to Demuth Park and something also that Yanni said. One of the envisions that I have for the traffic box project is like a Morris column. That particular box at Amato and Indian Canyon, the back of it's silver. So I have envisioned an idea of having the codes there, maybe having a public arts logo there for it being like a public arts hub of information where the benches are. You can scan to get to the different boxes, different benches. It gives you like a map. So it'll be like a corner Morris column hub of information that when people are walking down the street, they see a utility a traffic box, and they can get art information and information about the city from that. With Demuth Park, I do have my eye on the benches that are there, and inside of their garden, there's a dome that flowers would look amazing on inside of their garden. So there's been a couple of projects that I am scoping out for that, and I would love to get the wishing well extension and to also beautify the parks. There's a composting team from Master Gardeners. Haley is putting up, they've got a grant in order to create a composting garden, and where public arts would come in, would help beautify maybe the walls or the murals or the boxes, and get a lot of community participation and gathering with that, as well with the wishing well, being able to have workshops and programming, and have days with the artists there to continue to create, like, from whatever artwork we create in the community, that there's programming and information behind it and supporting it, so people aren't just wondering, how did this get here? That they actually have a form of communication and a way to find out. So
yes, I think it's going to be, those of us who are leaving the commission are going to be cheering you on, because it's really been a great 3 years. Now, if there's no other comments, I think we should let everybody get to dinner. And I do want to say thank you to Cindy and Marcus for sticking with us on this, because most of these issues end up on your desk anyway. So, and to Jay for putting up with us. I'm sure your other commissions aren't that much trouble. Although I don't know, do you have human rights? They can cause what John Lewis called good trouble, right? So if we have no other comments, Tom, will you make the motion to adjourn?
I should like to make a motion to adjourn this Public Arts Commission to our next regular meeting, Wednesday, May 19th, 2021, 5:30 p.m. via teleconference.
Second that motion.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thanks.